So say you've created this content, and it kind of goes with what we were talking about last week with kind of A/B testing. And I would say if you don't have the budget to put just money and throw it at something, that's something we've talked about before, is understand that you can create an audience, or if you're just starting off and you're going to boost a post. So I think if you're just boosting a post, you're going to get goals on Facebook. And how does that differ from the objectives if you have created an audience? And I know that's a whole nother thing too, or creating a campaign.
I mean, there's a couple different things that you need to keep in mind. Like, we almost exclusively act in ads manager. That's how we operate. And the first button you click when you want to create an ad is a little green button that says create. And the very first window that comes up is a window that says choose a campaign objective. And it offers you sales, leads, engagement, app promotion, traffic, and awareness. Those are the objectives that come up. And the very first thing you need to do is to decide what is actually your objective for the ad. If you want to drive people to your website, if your goal is to take people that are online and bring them over to your website, maybe capture their information with a pixel, maybe try to convert them on a landing page, whatever the case may be, you're probably going to choose a traffic objective. That means you're actually going to try to drive traffic to your website. If your goal is to do branding, like let's say in your town, you want to be omnipresent. Like every time somebody's online, you want to be in front of them, like a commercial on TV or something like that. You want the branding of your company to be out there, and you want to reach as many people as frequently as possible with the budget you have. You would want to choose an awareness campaign, because awareness is going to get you in front of a lot more people and a lot more frequently, but it may not drive the traffic back to your website. So it's more of a branding tool versus a conversion tool or a sales tool. You also have engagement, which means you're wanting people to engage with your posts. You want them to like it. You want them to share it. You want them that's kind of in between traffic and awareness, where you're going to reach more people, but you may not actually get them to click through to your website. Then you've got app promotion. You've got leads, where leads would be more like, I want them to convert. Like I want them to either call, or I want them to fill out send me a DM on Messenger, or I want them to fill out a contact form within Facebook. I want them to convert. Like I'm willing to spend the money. My objective is conversions. That's a lead objective. So I think when you do an ad, I think the very first thing is deciding which one of these objectives you're trying to reach with this ad, and then build the ad appropriately. And the budget is going to play into account too. For example, most traffic ads, the minimum Meta would advise on running a traffic ad is $10 a day. So if you're like, hey, I only want to spend $5 a day, you may want to back that down to an engagement ad or an awareness ad, because you're not going to get as much traction as you want with a traffic ad, because you're just not putting enough money towards it. So you really need to understand what you're doing. That's why I'm not a big fan of just hitting the boost button and putting dollars behind a post, because it doesn't give you as much control or as much visibility on, like, saying, hey, I really want to control who's seeing my content, what I actually want them to do. Because and I'm getting really long-winded here, but when you choose a traffic ad, what they're doing is they're using all the data they have in the algorithm to say, I'm going to show that ad to people that have shown a propensity to click through to a website. Like, not just view the content, not just like the content. Facebook is going to show that content to people that have demonstrated in the past more of a propensity to click through to a website. Or, so when you choose a traffic ad, you're literally pitching it to you're taking your audience that you've already built and subdividing it even further to say, I want to reach people that are more predisposed to click through to come to my website. Or a lead ad, you're showing it to people that have shown a predisposition in the past to make a phone call directly from the ad, fill out a contact form, shoot the DM, whatever the case may be. You're allowing the Facebook algorithm to guide that ad based on what you're saying you want it to do. It's a super critical thing when you're building ads to make sure you're choosing the right objective, or you're you may get results, but it's kind of like a shotgun approach and maybe hitting what you want, but you're scattering all all of the shot everywhere. And you may hit a little bit of what you want versus a rifle approach and saying, I want all of the effort, all of the money, all of the, all of the energy of this ad to go towards this specific objective and this specific audience instead of just letting it fly everywhere. And I think that's where a boost ad, if it's not done properly, you can be really tactical with a boost ad, but unless you really dig into a boost ad and really build it out properly, a lot of it is just going to be a scatter shot. And you may get a little bit of results, but you're not going to get as many results as you may have been able to get with a properly built out ad. It takes a little bit more effort. It takes a little bit more understanding. But I think ultimately, if you want to get the maximum results for the budget you have, you need to be a little bit more savvy and a little bit more technical about how you do it.
Yeah, I agree. I'm just looking at if you were to do a boost ad, I would say don't do just the automatic. I think that's, if you just kind of leave it up to Facebook, all Facebook wants to do is get more money. So if you're going to try to figure out a way to utilize the boost ad where you actually have to put in some work, and even at a bare minimum, if you're just putting it at a geographical place, if you have a brick and mortar shop, like put a 5 or 10 mile an hour radius around where you are where your shop is. So instead of just saying, yeah, I'm going to put $30 or I'm going to put $200. I had one client was like, yeah, we're doing $500 a month. And I was like, are you doing an audience? Are you like, no, we just let Facebook do it. And I was like, oh, you could actually get way more customers for like a fifth of the cost if you actually kind of broke that down. So,
well, and understanding the market you're in as well, like, Facebook defaults to certain radiuses and things like that. So say you're in Chicago, where you're from, where you live, a 15-mile radius may be like, people are like, you're crazy. I'm not driving. I've lived in a lot of markets where 15 miles, when I lived in Southern California, people weren't driving 15 miles might be a 1 hour drive.
Yeah.
So, if in California, in Southern California, an appropriate radius might be 5 miles because people are like, they're typically not going to drive beyond 5 miles from where they're at to get a service or something like that. So you really have to be conscious of even your own market, because Facebook may default it to 25 miles. In Southern California, you might as well be in a different state if you're 25 miles away.
Yeah.
I mean, so yeah, it's really important you understand that and you make the choice for yourself. Because if you just, I look at Boost as like the easy button. Yeah, it's easy to do and you may get some results, but what you don't maybe take into account is what you're leaving on the table. Like, how many more results could you have gotten for that same budget if you would have been a little bit more tactical about how you built out the ad? Doesn't mean you won't get any results. And I've talked to a lot of people. They're like, oh, I hit the boost button and I get results. The question, the thing you may never know is how many more results for that $500. How many more results could you have gotten for that same $500?
Absolutely.